So this is the Techsew 1660 industrial walking foot sewing machine. This is just a quick overview. Of course, we always have two spools of thread. One's for the bobbin, which comes down here through the tensioner, and then this is where the bobbin winds. You put that up. Once it's filled up, it pops up. Other roll of thread comes down here through a series of guides. These are the actual tensioners. It's a dual tensioning system used to change the quality of the stitch. And of course up through more guides, up into the arm, down through into the needle. This is where the bobbin is. Drawer slides open. Over to the right, this is called the flywheel, and this is what operates the needle, and actually this is the needle arm, and it makes it go up and down. And whenever you're working on the machine, working on the needle, you're not stitching, this should always be in the up position. Okay? So you can manually move this here. This down here near the bottom is your reverse. You push this and the machine goes in reverse. It's used to lock your stitch at the start and end of your stitch. Okay, so this is the stitch length regulator. The smaller the number, the smaller the length of the stitch, so more stitches per inch. The larger the number, the larger the stitch, or larger length, so less stitches per inch. So larger number, larger stitch. Go back now down to the right side. This is our on-off switch. And we have a range of 3,500. If we go up over the top, we go down to 500. So 500 being the slowest. Over next to that, this is our leg foot lift. So if you look at our walking foot here, it's going up and down. This is to load your material up and take it out when you're done. And so I'm moving this up, and I would do it with the side of my leg. And as I pull this up, this moves up. This also, by the way, releases the tension in here. It separates these. You want to actually use the leg lift when you want to pull your thread out a bit. Foot. You can see how the foot lifts up and the middle foot goes forward and then back again. So that helps pull the material through, and that's why it's called a walking foot. Okay. So back down under the machine, down at the bottom, this is the speed regulator pedal for the machine. Now if we look at the side view here, we can see it's basically a pedal. Not a huge range, but believe it or not, this does vary the speed a lot. So the trick of this is, with your foot, just squeeze it a bit. This will start the machine slowly to get going. Once it starts going, you can accelerate a bit and go full speed. The speed variance controlled with this can greatly vary the speed of your sewing machine. Okay, we're going to remove the bobbin now and replace it with a new one. Most of the time you're going to be doing this because the bobbin has run out of thread. You can usually hear a difference in the machine when the bobbin's out of thread, but you always keep an eye on your stitch to know when the bobbin runs out. So we're going to just pull this cover back. Got a screwdriver, a little screwdriver from the side drawer. Just going to put up this tab or arm, and I'm just going to put it in one of these holes and pull it out. So that bobbin's empty. So we've got our new bobbin. Now I'm holding this so it's the bobbin, think of the bobbin rotating clockwise, okay? So that thread has to be coming off the back, not this way, not the bottom, but coming off the back. So I'm going to hold that, push it in, And there's a little slot there where I'm going to put the thread down into. I'm going to close that arm. It's a little triangulation here. I'm just running it underneath that. Okay? Now, lifting the foot with the leg lift, I'm using the flywheel to take the needle all the way down to the bottom and then all the way back up to the top. Now you can see here there's a loop and the bobbin thread, and I'm using two different colors here to demonstrate. So you just pull that out. You want to just pull it a bit, make sure the bobbin's freewheeling, same at the top, and close the cover, and that's how we place the bobbin. Okay, to thread this, I'm going to go through here, down through here, and we're going to go into this guide. I'm going to push it into there and around, and then these are the tensioners, so we got to go up and around and down through the other one. So around there and up around that one, and we're going back around there, and we're going up around, then we're going to go, so kind of up around here. It seems strange, but we'll go down through that. So we'll go up through that. Okay, so you see I pull this, it moves that arm up and down. I move that needle up to the top. I'm ready to go through the needle arm. We're going to go through this, so we're in there, and we want to go through the top of this little slot here. Okay, so we're in that slot, and then there's this little tab here. This kind of holds that in, and I like to run it down through that. Okay, so it's through here, through here, through here, and behind that slot down into there. One hole by the needle, and then as always, you're going to be going from the outside to the inside through the needle hole. And that's how to thread the needle. Below, we've got our on-off, and we've got our speed control. So, slowest the speed reducer, speed control go. By the way, there's a speed reducer, which is a big pulley wheel, which allows the machine to go even slower. So this is our speed control. That's the slowest. Now if we go negative, we're going to go down over the bottom up to the fastest speed, 3,500. Again, if we go to the top, we go back down to the bottom. So I usually comfortably like to use this machine at around 1,200. Okay. Okay, so we're going to just stitch a couple pieces together. First thing you want to do is just butt the edges up. And when I hold the thread using the leg lift, we're going to lift the foot up and drop it down. You want to line up the needle to around 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter. It's a good width of stitch or seam. So we're just going to hold this taut. We're not going to pull it hard. By the way, when you lift the leg up, never ever run the machine while the leg's up. That will knock the machine out of timing. So we're just going to loosely hold this. We're going to just squeeze the pedal slowly. First, I guess we'll turn it on. And I've got the speed dial set to 1200. It's a comfortable speed. It goes up to 35 and down to 500, but 1200 is a good speed. So I'm just going to squeeze the pedal a bit just to get it started slowly. I'm going to use the reverse paddle to lock those couple stitches, and then I'm going to go forward again. And so my hands are making sure the edges are butted together, but also I'm guiding this piece so it's going straight into the machine. And then we're at the end, we're just going to back up the stitch a couple, finish it. So you always want the arm up at the top. In other words, the needle's going to be up at the top, and I'm going to use the leg lift to lift the foot up, pull the thread, and there we have our first piece. And you can look at the quality of the thread. If it's loose at the bottom, there's a, this is a white thread with black, so you can really see it. But if there's a, if the stitch looks loose at the bottom, you're going to have to loosen the two tensioners. Vice versa, if it seems really loose in the top, you're going to tighten the two tensioners. And you might have to adjust this anytime, just depending on the material and the thickness of materials. So there we have a standard stitch. Now if we want to do a top stitch, the problem with upholstery, that if you're doing cover, these seams here, they can get twisted and all over the place, and what you end up is a very crooked seam. So we're going to do a top stitch. So we're going to pull both seams underneath the one side, and hold the stitch again. I'm just going to line this foot up right at the where it folds there. Then I'm going to back it up to lock it. And this time I'm actually pressing this down. I'm trying to keep it nice and flat while I'm also holding this and guiding it straight through the machine. And you can go as slow as you want here. And we're just going to reverse it a couple of stitches. Arm back up to the top. And we now have a top stitch. And this is a really strong stitch, but it's also great for the edge of a cushion or a seat or something, upholstery. Makes it a nice crisp edge. Okay, we're going to do another stitch. This is called a French seam. Again, we just start with a standard stitch. Leg lift up. Locate your material. 3/8 centimeter in. Start the stitch. Reverse it to lock it. And guide the edges. Again, needle up to the top, and pull the stitch out. Okay, so we got our standard stitch, but this time I'm going to split the seams in half. And we're also going to put another piece of material underneath. Now usually it's a thinner piece of material, but in this case it's the same material. It is rather thin anyway. So we're going to line this up. Again, I'm going to use the same, that little foot there as my guide. Start the stitch and then reverse it. So this time we're splitting the seam. We're holding this kind of flat, and we're also guiding the top and the bottom material. So let's do this slow. So that's one side. Now we're going to do the other side. Again, foot down, hold our stitch, reverse it. And reverse it again. Needle, arm to the top, stitch, sorry, your thread. And that's a French seam. It's used a lot in auto upholstery and higher end like European furniture and that. It's a very strong seam and it's very good adhesive. So that is the 1660 industrial walking foot sewing machine.